folks, welcome inside the Parisi Palace, high above 3773 East Broadway. This is a live edition of the Jake Feinberg Show, comedy on Power Talk. Please go to our website, powertalk.live. Download our free app to your smartphone so you can stream all of our live local programming, including Solomon on Blast, the Jim Parisi Show, and yours truly, the Jake Feinberg Show. And we can't thank you enough for making us part of your day today. And what an honor it is to bring in a couple of younger cats who somehow I've been stumbling into on the bandstand or in the green room or in the airport. These guys continue to inspire younger cats to find their individual voices. They're both incredibly individualistic players and singers, and they're really young. They're in a band called Grateful Shred, and they also are in a duo known as Mapache. What an honor, Sam and Clay. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I've had you before. We're doing it again. It's great. Either one of you can take this question, but I just wanted to know if you both are self-taught musicians.
This more or less, my dad taught me how to play guitar. I took some flute lessons in high school, and then stopped after like 2 weeks. And then I took a little bit of guitar and piano lessons growing up, and then I studied music in college.
Were you just like? Can you talk about the idea of just like did you get bored of just like the traditional idea of lessons? What did if anything, what did your dad actually instill in you that you still hang on to today?
This is Sam speaking.
Sam, thank you, Sam.
Well, my dad, I feel like I was lucky to have my dad teach me instead of somebody else in like some sort of lesson, because it was a lot more open. I could he didn't correct me on really anything that I was doing that wasn't necessarily wrong. Like, I don't play it normal left-handed, and he never really corrected me on that. Had I gone to like a normal teacher, I feel like it would have been different. I would have had to switch and learn the other way. So stuff like that was a lot more open, which I thought I'm glad that I learned from him rather than someone else who would have been very, adamant on doing it by the book and stuff like that.
I mean, Sam, can you talk about your style? Someone came up to me at that in upstate New York, and they're like, he's holding the guitar like Jimi Hendrix. I was like, I don't know what. Can you explain what you how you control your apparatus?
I don't know. It's just I just kind of pick it up and play it. I don't really. It's the only way I learned how to play, so I'm not really, intentionally trying to make it any sort of way. It's just kind of the only way that I know how to do it. If you asked me to play it the other way, I wouldn't know how to play anything really. But I don't know. I try not to think too much about it too, and just kind of pick it up, and whatever feels comfortable, I play it, and I don't know.
Clay, so Clay, you studied music in college.
Uh-huh.
And what college? Where did you go to school?
I went to Chico State, Northern California. It's about 10 hours north of Los Angeles.
Can you talk to the audience about? What was it? Pure academia, or were you able to find your way onto the bandstand in Chico?
Well, what I was studying in Chico was just pretty traditional music theory and chord theory and ear training and stuff like that. But which was rad and definitely something I have hung on to, and I'm thankful that I did. But I feel like mostly what was really great about living up there was it was just like a really fun little small mountain town, and I had a group of friends up there, and we all just played music every day. That was like the basis of our friendship, and that's kind of just all we did.
Well, I guess the logical question is, I mean, you have to excuse me, but I mean, you guys have been on my radar for a minute. And when Kevin Calabro sent out the press release, I don't know, months ago about your album, I'm like, these cats are brothers, but you're not brothers, right? I mean, you're not blood related in any way, shape, or form. How did you meet?
We're not biological brothers. So we might as well be brothers.
No, I know that. I mean, there's a lot of brotherhood. There's a lot of like telepathy on the bandstand. But how did you guys connect?
Well, we met in high school, and then kind of like Clay was saying about college, we just we started playing music together and just like never really stopped, and that's kind of a really fast way of getting a strong relationship together. You know what I mean? So yeah, we just met in high school, and even back then it was just acoustic guitars and singing. We would just sing, Beatles songs or Grateful Dead songs or whatever songs we liked, and we loved to sing harmonies. We've always have, so that was kind of always the theme, is just keep it stripped down. And I don't know, we seemed to be on the same page from the start, you know.
No, this is fascinating. Wait, hold on for a second. So you knew each other in high school, but and Clay went to Chico State, but Sam, did you go there as well?
Mexico for 2 years as a missionary, and then lived there for 2 years and came back, and then we kind of just regrouped when I got back. We took like 2 or 3 years apart, and then came back. And it wasn't until we had reconvened after all that we called the thing Mapache and actually like started working on it, you know.
Just to be clear, the missionary work was Mormon work. What religion was that?
Yeah, it was a Mormon mission.
And I have to believe that you had your guitar down there as well. Can you talk about some experience south of the border musically that was inspiring for you?
Yeah, I mean, every day was. I did have a guitar down there. It has a really awesome black nylon string guitar that someone had given me. But yeah, I mean, we knew this. There's a lot of stories, and I don't know how personal I can get with these people down there, but a lot of times since it is such a dangerous place. At least the part that I was in was very rural, and it weren't a lot of concrete roads. It was a lot of dirt roads and stuff like that. Just to be able to play music with people that didn't even play music, it would really like, you could see things changing in them, and it was just, it's hard to explain really, but you just do see a lot of magic through music. And there's a lot of amazing music in Mexico, like stuff that I didn't know about, styles that I didn't know, that I learned about.
There's only two letters that separate magic and music. Can you talk about a magical moment down there, especially with cats that, were self-taught or didn't ever play an instrument before or sing before? You don't have to mention any names.
Yeah. Well, one person just keeps coming to mind. I can't remember her name though, but she was living. Well, I would go over to her family's house, her parents' house, and she was living on her own for a long time. And she would stop by her parents' house every once in a while. And then I remember one time we walked in, and then there was just like a big fridge in the middle of the living room. And I was like, oh, what happened? And it turns out that she had moved home because she had gotten involved in like some prostitution and like some really just gnarly stuff with whoever she was living with. And I think she was into a lot of drugs and a lot of things that were just going really poorly. And then for some reason, one day we were there and we were all there at the same time. And I had my guitar with me, and we just sang a couple songs, and she was just started crying, and as one does a lot of times when you listen to or sing music with people in that kind of setting, and she like really that was kind of the beginning to a lot of changes that she made in her life, and that's just it's just pretty awesome to experience that. But it is like a very you had to be there kind of thing. It's hard to explain and kind of get across the same what happened really over a.
Well, I mean, you helped her. You collaborated with her to get stuff out of her system, which is really essential. She was obviously struggling. I mean, Clay, can you? I mean, I remember asking you guys about adding a trap drummer, and your face was just crestfallen. You wanted nothing to hear nothing about that. I just
Trap drummer?
like a drum set. Putting a rhythm section behind you guys. And I just wanted you to talk to cats out there in this time of like when I hear a lot of contemporary music, and I don't care what genre, what style it is, but there's just not a lot of dynamics. And you guys are about as stripped down as it gets, and you're dedicated to harmonies and things like that. And I wanted you to talk about the ethos that Mapache has as it relates to stripped down, authentic roots music.
Well, for me, it's nothing against music that is not me, but as far as it goes for Sam and me, for now at least, it's very simple in that it feels good, and that's kind of like all that really matters at this point, or it's more than good enough as far as making us feel good when we play. And it's just sort of like at this point, maybe we can add some other stuff at some point or eventually, but for now we really enjoy just playing the two of us, and it feels refreshing and simple and pure and honest and human. So we just have kind of stuck with that, And it's not like music with more instruments or production can't feel that way either. And it's not really like we're opposed to going in that direction or anything. But there's just no like urgency or need to like build something. It just sort of like feels good the way it is, just the way it sort of always has been with Sam and me, just playing guitar and singing. So that's kind of just where it's at. It just doesn't feel like just feels good. So hopefully it feels that way for people who are listening.
Well, I was just out in Los Angeles. You guys had a homecoming show with Rademacher and Lauren Barth, and the place was totally packed out. Clay, what kind of it doesn't seem like you said. I mean, you can plug in and have a dynamic, Josh playing drums and Dan Horn and Sam playing lead guitar. Are there things that you either subconsciously, unconsciously, or consciously have to adjust to when you're plugged in and playing with an ensemble as opposed to just playing stripped down with Sam?
Well, in the case of that gig at the Standard, there's no sort of like major adjustment feeling, because when it's really quiet like that, it feels really natural. And so there's nothing like, there's not a lot of external challenges as far as like making the music that you want to make. Whereas when you play electric, you kind of have a little bit more, your voice is a little bit louder. So, everybody can kind of, your dynamics can still be there because your softest note is a lot louder. As far as dynamics go? Is that I kind of lost?
Well, I think more to the point, like what I see with you guys is, and you know, I've seen you guys play as a duo, and it's not a formula trip at all, but the songs are you know, very harmonically pleasing, but it's a straight set list, and then all of a sudden you're playing music where you guys have to improvise. I guess that's more to the point, is because I don't see you stretching out and improvising a lot of instrumentally as a duo. So that's more what I'm trying to get at is, and you make it look really easy. So I mean, like, how did you learn to improvise, Clay? I mean, did it come at Chico? Did it happen before that? Because to me, you guys are a duo singers in Mapache, but in Grateful Shred, I mean, you guys are trading off solos, and it's like you make it look somewhat effortless. So I mean, how did that come? How did that come about? How did the improvisation come about?
Well, I guess that's always been sort of something that we've really enjoyed too, just as much as singing. It's just like trading solos, and you know, it's just like we love playing our guitars just as much as we do singing. So that's sort of always been a part of it as well. And we try to do some of that in Mapache too. I guess sometimes it's not as always easy to hear, or it's not as upfront as the vocals. But I don't think it's something that we ever really like sought out to achieve, or I think it's something we've always, whatever you want to call it, is, you know, just playing your guitar the same way that you would sing.
Sam, I was curious about one of the L's on my show is leadership, and you guys are, I guess, you know, co-leaders of a band, but I just wanted you to talk about your concept of leadership, and most importantly, leadership on the bandstand, and what are the most important attributes to that?
Well, I think in any sort of band, probably one of the most important things is that what Clay was talking about earlier, is that nothing can be forced. You know, like it all has to. You have to give everything enough room and not suffocate it, so that it doesn't, so that it stays in like a natural course. You know what I mean? And that's the big responsibility of any sort of leader of anything. It's like, if you're leading too hard and you're trying to make things happen when, you know, they're naturally not supposed to happen, then it's not going to come out right, you know, especially with writing songs or recording. You know, you can't force yourself to write a song, and you can't, you know, force yourself to put out a record at any certain time. It just kind of has to happen the way that it's going to happen, you know. So that's one thing as a leader, is to be conscious of that, not suffocate your material and not suffocate the vibe, or, you know, anything. Just give everything room to breathe and be conscious of that.
Well, that is spot on, and it's completely antithetical to what's happening in our society now. If you look at things growing, vegetables growing. I remember my interview with Dr. John. He said, you know, we're torching Grandmother Earth. You know, people used to use ice chests, and then you'd have to use the food. There'd be an expiration date. Now we're growing stuff out of season. We're mass producing stuff. And we also have the technology on the music side to make everything perfect. And so I'm just curious, Sam, can you talk about how you learned to allow things to cultivate organically? Did you have a situation where you were trying to force stuff at some point? Was it something that was just ingrained from you from the beginning? Because it's really not part of your generation's constitution, period. Everything is so sped up. The tempo is moving. Did you learn the hard way, or how did you develop that kind of mentality?
Well, I mean, it's something I'm still, I haven't totally developed that yet. I still sometimes try really hard to do certain things and, you know, swim against the current, and it just doesn't work, you know. But I think just by trial and error this happened, trying to, you know, write a song in a certain way, and it obviously doesn't work. You just got to let it come out. And that just takes more patience, you know, just by experiencing it, you start to notice things about yourself and the way you're working on your music, and that's kind of how I picked up on it. And people around me too. Like you said, we are in a great circle of people with Dan and Clay and all these people that we know that have more insight because they've been in it longer and they have more experience, and they are able to help us kind of see things that we can't see yet. Get a step ahead of the game.
Could you give an example of something that they've been able? They have a farther view of the tunnel and they've been able to hip you to it.
Well, on tour, Dan knows everywhere we're supposed to eat, and we know nowhere. So.
You talking about Dan Horn?
Got all the Lassens in the country, all the Whole Foods markets, all of the hippie grocery stores. He knows where they all are. So that's one thing that has really taught us about music.
Clay, I mean, did you? Yeah, I mean, did this? Chris Gunst is your cousin, is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it fair to say that? How did he? How did you guys connect? How did you wind up connecting with the cats from the Shred? Or I mean, was it at this? Did you have a? Were you at the Lost Night? Was there how did you wind up co-joining with those cats? Did it have to do with Chris?
I guess through a couple degrees of separation. Chris is how we came to know Brent Radmaker, and Brent is how we came to know Dan Horn
and everybody else.
Yeah, but I guess the shorter version of the story is Austin and Dan and everybody else who's in the mix. They're all just musicians who, have played together at some point in the kind of Northeast LA area, and so we became friends with Dan and Austin a couple of years ago, just playing music, and then a year or so after that, we all moved in to Dan's old house in Echo Park, and then Austin wanted to do a set of all Dead music at some point, and it was really fun when they did it. And then, the ball just sort of kept rolling, and then sort of turned into a thing, and it was Grateful Shred. But it's pretty. It kind of just came together in a funny way. It was never like there were no auditions or anything like that.
Were you
sort of just started?
Yeah, no, it's just so great because it actually comes across authentically as you're describing it, which means nothing was premeditated or planned. It just sort of came together. But I mean, were you guys just getting off on like the studio Grateful Dead music in high school, or were you listening to their live? Did it take you? What is the hardest part about playing improvisational, essentially psychedelic folk music in the form of the Grateful Dead? Was that stuff that you were already hip to, or were you just listening? Because people say like, I hate the Grateful Dead, and they're like, I listen to Skeletons in the Closet. It's like, dude, you're not going to get off on their studio stuff. Maybe you would, maybe you guys do, but were you hip to the live stuff, or what was the biggest challenge when Austin wanted to do the deep dive into the Estimateds and the half-step toodaloos and all that stuff?
No, we've been getting off to it all for a while. We've been big Deadheads since high school.
Really? You guys were because I thought you were maybe not. That you were not. You were huge. They were long gone though by the time you were in high school, right?
No, I think we were just past the generation. Just after the generation where it was very uncool to like the Grateful Dead. I think like people like 10 years behind us, you were like, it was like your dad's music, or it was like frat bro music, or it was like, you know, weirdo hula hoop music. You know, and you were like a punk rocker, and you weren't supposed to like that.
That's
or
right.
whatever.
That's right.
I know a lot of people like that, who now love the Grateful Dead too. But I feel like there was definitely a sentiment like where you felt like you weren't supposed to like it. But Sam and I were not a part of that. No, it was the first time we listened to it. It was like, that's what's up, and yeah, been like that ever since.
How often do people talk to you about, I mean, I've been doing this rogue journalism for 8 years, and I've had so many friends, you know, frustrated, you know, why haven't you become syndicated yet? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that and grow your audience? And, you know, I have my own sort of methodology, and I'm not really, there's nothing premeditated about it. And I feel like you guys are in no rush at all. I mean, you're really just trying to have a ball. And can you talk a little bit about the challenges of staying in the moment? And I guess that's probably where Gonst and Rademacher and these guys help keep you centered. But I have to believe that there are people coming up to you and saying, why haven't you done this already? Or why? I mean, people have this instant gratification. You guys seem absolutely on the other end of that. And I just wonder how, Sam, you can take the question if you want, but I mean, how do you stay and marinate in the moment?
Well, we're trying our best.
It's hard. Is it a challenge? What are the challenges of that?
Well, it is hard because you have people, you know, telling you that they want you to do all these things, and you know, it's just hard the difficulty with it is finding the balance between making your music for the people that are going to listen to it and also making it for yourself artistically. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so, but you know, you can't let it bring you down. You can't let it affect you at all, really, if you want to you know, do it the best way possible. You just gotta, you know, stay focused on keeping it, you know, natural and real, and not, you know, trying to put any pressure on anything. And then, you know, things work out. I mean, every band has a different way of doing it, you know, and oftentimes I'll, you know, flip into this mode where I'm comparing our band to, you know, other bands, past bands, but it's not like that. You know, some bands put out a record every 3 years. Some bands put out like 3 records in a year. And but you just, you know, everyone has their own flow, and nothing's really right or wrong about it. It's just how you do it. And then the other thing is, it depends on what you want to do with your music, you know. Like if Clay and I wanted to, you know, try to actually make money or something,
right,
we would like
right.
make a song, you know, in the style of Drake or something, and put out a bunch of singles. But we prefer to play the music that comes out of us naturally, and this is what comes out, and we don't, you know, we try not to put too much thought into the marketing aspect of it, or pleasing people, really. We just kind of want to let it come out as it is.
Clay, have you been approached by people in the biz, or if, let's just put the hypothetical, if they were like, yo, you know, you guys are, you know, we want to get you in and, you know, make these radio friendly hits and, you know, put a rhythm section and a horn section, whatever. I mean, have you been approached? If you were approached with a big dollar amount, what would you do?
Well, we've never really had any concrete proposals or anything like that. I guess it's been like the idea has been thrown around a little bit with different people. But I mean, if we wanted to make a lot of money, we would have chosen a different. We would have gotten jobs, and we would have we would have. I don't know. We would have sold real estate
doing it.
Okay, so you're talking about like jobs in mainstream America, like making bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I just would have. We're definitely not doing this to make money. I mean, I don't know. If someone came up to me and said, "I'm going to give you $50,000 if you put horns on this song."
I love horns.
Yeah. No, it's not. I don't know. We're not doing this so we can make money. We're doing this because we want to dedicate ourselves to making art that's true. So I don't know. I think I mean, it would be great to be able to, pay off my credit cards and things like that.
No, you're preaching to the choir, man. No, I'm serious. I mean, I'm 40 years old, and with 2 kids on top of that, a lot of this stuff has been gifted to me. Advertising is gifted. It comes. Do you feel like there is? I think one of the cool things about my path is it's just being able to connect with you guys. It was totally non-linear. There was no logic to it. Do you feel protected on this journey, Clay? I mean, because I dig what you guys are all about, but you do along the way need a little bit of the universe needs to protect you. Do you feel that? And does that get reinforced from time to time?
Yeah, I think so. There's being financially unstable makes you feel a little bit vulnerable, and it can be stressful. That so uncomparably, it's like being able to travel like we have. It's like what we've done in the last couple of years is more than I ever thought I might ever do with music. So I just feel super grateful, and definitely like I've been taken care of by the universe, and we've been really lucky to meet a bunch of really down to earth, sweet people with good intentions, and who are really creative and inspiring people to be around. And overall, I feel like we've definitely been more than taken care of. The last couple of years have been a treat for sure.
Sam, do you can you identify some of the, obviously the Burrito Brothers, Graham Parsons, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, those inflections are all coming out in Mapache's singing, but can you talk about I've interviewed McLaughlin 4 times, Martino 5 times. Who were the guitar players that you were getting off on, that you get off on instrumentally?
Well, the list is very large, but Jerry Garcia, obviously.
The man.
Neil Young. I can listen to any Neil Young song as many times as humanly possible, and I'll always find something new that is, mind-blowing about it. J.J. Cale, Jorma Kaukonen, big influence on both Clay and I. There's
fascinating.
Wow. What's that? I'm sorry.
No, I just the Jorma's instrumental playing was you got off on that. Both you guys were influenced by that.
Oh yeah, very largely.
With
there's a Mexican guitar.
Yeah, go ahead.
Named Alfredo Gil. That's a big influence, especially on the Mexican bolero songs that we play. He was in a group called Los Panchos, and he's a big influence on my guitar playing. As far as current guitar players go, or I guess more current, is David Rawlings, a big influence. Seamus Turner, who's from LA, big influence on us. But that's just to name a few.
Are there cats from the jazz world that you listen to on record? Do you go back to Kenny Burrell or any of these guys?
Calvin Keys.
Are you kidding me? Calvin Keys. I promoted a concert for Gene Russell, who was the producer of Black Jazz Records in Los Angeles 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And Calvin, that's where Calvin cut those Black Jazz records are filthy, dude. And he's a dear friend of mine.
I got to see him at Wichita this last year. He played with the Matson too, who is also we love their guitar playing and their music as well. But he played with the Matson too, so they were like his band. There was the three of them on stage, and it was amazing.
Oh,
I love
that is sick. Dude, Calvin is I was in his house a few months ago. He was in a bathrobe playing a freaking huge guitar on Facebook Live. I freaking love that guy, man. What a genius too. A total badass. Clay, Clay, are there? I guess more to the point. I just want you guys, Clay. You can start. I remember listening to this interview with Garcia, and he was like talking about they played a couple of bills with the Who, and Pete Townsend was talking that they had been playing the same exact show for 4 years. Now they were obviously making, a lot of money, but Jerry was like, that's a burn, and I just want you to talk about how you guys in Mapache, how you never play the same song the same way once.
Well, that definitely comes a little bit from the Grateful Dead tradition. That's just a huge influence on us, and I think I've always found that super inspiring because that's a very common thing. So I've always thought that was really badass and musically refreshing and interesting, and then it turns out that that's the way it also feels really good to play. Sometimes there's parts of music that you write and you like a certain melody, like when there's a guitar lick or something. There's some things that I like to play, or Sam likes to play the same most of the time, because it's more like a melody that you want to sing when you play the song. But yeah, it just makes music exciting for the instrumentalist and the person listening to the music. I've always thought like one of the most exciting, or kind of one of the things that's magic about the Grateful Dead was that you're kind of like rooting for them the whole time.
Exactly.
Because they're like so experimental, or like they're just pushing it so hard every time that a good handful of times it would kind of crash and burn. But everyone loves them so much that it didn't matter anyway. But it made it that much more exciting to watch because it was kind of like unpredictable. And so when something like really incredible happens, then it's like totally electric, and everything is like you're kind of on the edge of your seat. And I think it's fun to try to play music in that style. And I would like to, create that experience to a degree for people who are listening to us. I always thought that was something that was really cool about them. You kind of never knew it was going to happen.
I couldn't agree more. Before we wrap up here, Sam, can you talk about like you guys were touring a lot with Shred, and you guys would open. Can you talk about the ability in this fully interconnected world? Because it is. People say, well, it's so much easier to get your name out with the internet and YouTube and all this stuff, and yet there's also this saturation of material. We don't live in a country anymore with three television channels where if you were on the Johnny Carson show or the Tonight Show, you'd become instantly famous. And I just wonder about, like, if you go to the East Coast, or what was one of the most inspiring moments you had with your burgeoning fan base outside of Southern California?
Well, that whole East Coast run was pretty, insane for us because it was our first time really going over there, and to see people that were at those shows that actually knew, who we were, that weren't, they weren't just randomly there. That was pretty mind blowing because we had nothing to do with those people really, and it was crazy that they were there. It was really made us feel really good. It was a very strange thing for us to see. It's kind of a new thing for us to see. So that whole tour was pretty much, we were kind of just like in awe the whole time that anyone was even there. But I mean, it was really cool to see the difference in what the crowds were like too, being on the East Coast rather than on the West Coast.
Oh yeah, I would love you as being that you guys are about as laid back as they come. Can you talk about how the energy is different? I'm a New York guy through and through, but I just would love to hear you guys talk about the vibrational level of the difference.
Well, everyone told us before we went out there that they were going to be, the East Coast was so harsh, and we got out there and everyone was so nice. Like it was totally opposite. I was expecting to, get in a couple fights, which I almost did. I was bummed that it didn't work out, but.
Wait, hold on a second. What I mean, people were. Why would you? I mean, I can't see you. You guys are both like total peaceful cats.
Well, it wasn't a show. It had nothing to do with the music. But we went to go get pizza after we played at the. And he was untying my shoes and trying to start this whole thing, and I was really late at night. I was eating my pizza. I wasn't very happy about it. And then I was by myself, and then eventually it failed. And then I remember telling Dan and Austin and Clay about it, and they were like, there was this really funny, beautiful moment where they were all like, "Oh man, dude, we would have totally had your back." And I was like, I thought it was.
Wait, hold on. Hold on a second. You cut out there for a second. Where were you playing that you went to get the pizza? What venue?
It was after the Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn.
Oh wow! Okay, so it was after the bowl. Okay, people love that. I know people that were at that show. They had a ball. So you went to get pizza, and some faded cat was trying to untie your shoes and stuff.
Yeah, he was just trying to, trying to rumble. And he was untying my shoes and kind of nudging me and stuff and talking, some significant smack. And but I was by myself. Everyone else was inside. I was outside eating my pizza. And then it kind of just diffused, and he left. And then I remember telling everybody, and Dan was all fired up. It was just a nice little friendship moment there. They all had my back. It was good.
Clay, can you just tell the audience about? I mean, I'm sure I'll run into you guys in an airport bathroom somewhere or something soon, but where can you talk a little bit about the upcoming Mapache adventures that are on the horizon?
Yeah, well, we're going to Colorado with Grateful Shred as well in December.
Yeah, that's eons away for Jake Feinberg. I need something. I need a little more meat than that.
Let's see. The record. Yeah, well, we're gonna go into the studio in October.
You are.
Record. Yeah.
50,000 for horns, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, so what? So this. I just want to be clear. You're going to go in, and it's going to be a whole bag of new tunes.
Yep. Yep.
Wow, that'll be fascinating to see. And then, but and you guys will be playing basically the standard, or you'll be playing locally for the next few months before the shred.
Well, nothing is set yet. We have a couple things sort of in the works that we would like to. We'd like to be on the road if we can. We're going to play in San Francisco tomorrow, actually.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
we're playing with. It's going to be a rad show. It's Cass McCombs, and he's playing with the guys from Terrapin Family Band, Ross James and Scott Law, and so that'll be a bitchin' show, and we're going to open that one.
Hold on, are you gonna? Is Phil the Terrapin Family Band includes Phil Lesh? Are you gonna be playing with Phil tomorrow?
I don't think that Phil is going to be there.
Well, I'll tell you. Have you? I don't know if you've met him before, but I have. I've never had a chance to hang with him, but I think he'd be grinning ear to ear if he got a chance to play with you guys. I hope that. Have you met him before?
We have
Briefly. I shook his hand.
Yeah, I mean that's about as good as you're going to get. I'm just talking about on the bandstand. That's going to be a ball. I'll tell you what. I had this dream the other day that I'd bring you guys down here for a gig to Tucson. So when it cools down, I'll make you a small offer, and I'd love to have you guys come down here. I think what you're doing is fantastic, and I also think that it's just refreshing to be able to really see authenticity bleeding out of younger cats that are not looking to get rich quick and are also, truly trying to inspire people by being unpredictable and just being themselves. And it's been great to connect with you guys. And I didn't realize we were going to do the conference call, but this was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, Rick. Oh yeah, our pleasure, man.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
And please, let me know next. I mean, I'll hip you to the when I get the funds together to bring you down here. But it would be great to have you in the Southwest. Just not when it's 110 every day. But really, keep it happening and keep me abreast of anything that comes up on the calendar, because I don't know, somehow we've meant to be connected, which is cool.
Yeah, we'll keep you in the loop, man.
Have a beautiful day, guys. Have a good gig tomorrow with the. Are you going Terrapin Crossroads?
No, it's at the chapel.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The Mission.
Mission in the Rain. Yeah, actually, my only request is that if you could possibly work on playing Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance would be great.
Damn. All right. Got it. Done.
All right. Much love, you guys. Talk to you real soon. I'll get a copy of this out to you later today. Later. Cheers. Sam and Clay from the burgeoning acoustic band Mapache. They're also part of the band Grateful Shred. It was really an honor to talk to them. And we'll be back. I'll be on the road next week for some time. Big thanks to Jim Parisi for helping me out recording these, and also leading me through the ever-challenging Audacity and Skype issues here at Power Talk. Much love from here. Don't worry about me.
Bye.